My daughter forgot to hang up the phone. I heard her say, "It's time for her to go to assisted living. She's becoming a burden." I didn't say a word, but in that moment, something inside me broke and then rebuilt itself into something stronger. I sold the house for $890,000. They came back from their business trip smiling, luggage in hand, expecting to find their grateful mother waiting to be managed. But the keys didn't fit the door. They found a note on the doorstep, and after reading it, they started screaming. That's when I realized this wasn't over. It was just the beginning. Before we go further, if you believe that respect is earned not owed, please like this video, subscribe, and let me know where you're watching from in the comments. The phone rang just as I was scraping the last of the meatloaf from my plate. It was Robert's recipe, though mine never tasted quite right without his touch. I glanced at the caller ID and smiled despite myself. "Caitlin, Mom, how are you holding up?" Her voice carried that familiar warmth, the kind that used to make my chest tighten with love. And now, with loneliness, I settled into Robert's old recliner, the leather worn smooth from years of his evening reading. "Oh, you know me, sweetheart. Just finished dinner and was about to watch the news." I didn't mention it was leftovers from 3 days ago, or that I'd been sitting in silence for an hour, staring at Robert's photo on the mantel. "Are you eating enough? You know you can order groceries online now, right? I showed you the app." "I'm eating plenty," I interrupted gently, though I had a little scare yesterday. Forgot to turn off the burner under my coffee pot. Good thing I smelled it burning. There was a pause. I could picture her frowning, the same little crease between her eyebrows she'd inherited from Robert. "Mom, maybe we should talk about getting someone to check on you more regularly." "Jeremy thinks I'm fine, Caitlin. Really, how's your trip going? You're in Phoenix, right?" "Yes, the conference ends tomorrow." Jeremy's been handling most of the client meetings while I sit through these endless talks about digital marketing. She laughed, but it sounded forced. "Listen, Mom, I should probably go. Jeremy and I have dinner plans with some potential investors." "Of course, sweetheart. I love you." "Love you too, Mom. Take care of yourself, okay?" Click. I reached to hang up, but then I heard voices, muffled, but clear through her phone's microphone. "Caitlin, no longer warm. Jeremy, you see how she's deteriorating? She forgot to turn off the stove yesterday. What if she burns the house down?" My hand froze on the receiver. Ice spread through my chest. "Jeremy," cold and matter of fact, "it's time for assisted living, Caitlin. She's becoming a burden. Your mom's a good woman, but she can't live alone anymore." Caitlin's voice shifted, calculating, sharp. "The house is worth almost $1 million now. With Denver's market, we could probably get $900,000, maybe more." "Exactly," Jeremy said, pleased. "We sell it, put her somewhere decent, not too expensive, and finally buy that house in Boulder we've been looking at. The one with the mountain view." Then she laughed. Actually laughed. "God, Jeremy, you should have seen her tonight. So grateful just to hear from me. She has no idea we're planning this. The longer we wait, the more confused she'll get. We should strike while she still trusts us completely." The phone slipped from my numb fingers, clattering onto the hardwood floor Robert and I had installed together 23 years ago, every board laid by my own hands, every nail driven with dreams of our family's future. I sat in the sudden silence of my empty house, staring at Robert's photograph. His eyes seemed to bore into mine, not with anger, but with quiet warning. The grandfather clock in the hallway, his 15th anniversary gift to me, ticked steadily in the growing darkness. Outside, the first spring crickets began their evening song in the garden he'd helped me plant, and that I still tended. Something cold and hard settled in my chest. My hands, weathered from decades of gardening, cooking, and caring, slowly curled into fists. They thought I was a burden. They thought I was confused, helpless, ready to be managed and discarded. They were already spending my money, already planning their new life, in my absence. But I wasn't gone, and I wasn't nearly as fragile as they believed. I don't know how long I sat there in the dark, Robert's face watching me from the silver frame. The house felt different now, as if the walls themselves had heard the betrayal and were holding their breath. When I finally stood, my legs felt unsteady. I turned on the lamp, and the warm light fell across the living room we'd furnished piece by piece, each item chosen with care, saved for with sacrifice. The burgundy sofa where Caitlin used to curl up doing homework. The coffee table I'd sanded smooth while she played at my feet. I walked to the kitchen and opened the drawer where I kept old receipts. My fingers found the folder without thinking. 20 years of financial records. Robert always said, you never know when you'll need them. University of Colorado tuition, $48,000 over 4 years. I remembered those double shifts, coming home with dirt under my nails, Robert waiting with coffee and a shoulder rub. She deserves better than we had, I'd told him. Just don't give her so much that she forgets to be grateful, he'd warned. Wedding receipts, $32,000 for one day. Caitlin had cried when I said we could only afford $8,000, so I worked weekends for 6 months, installing floors for cash. Daddy, you're the best father in the world, she'd whispered during our dance. She'd forgotten. Car loan co-signing, job referrals, rent-free living for over a year after Jeremy lost his job. They'd called me the most generous mother-in-law in Colorado, and I'd believed them. I walked upstairs to Robert's and my bedroom still unchanged after 2 years. His reading glasses sat beside the lamp. His cologne still lingered in the closet. I opened the bottom drawer and pulled out our original house deed. Evelyn and Robert Hayes purchased 1999. No loans. No co-signers. Now, my name only. Standing in the room where Robert took his last breath, holding my hand, whispering, promise me you won't let them take advantage of you. You're too good, Evelyn. Too generous. I'd promised, but I hadn't kept it. Now, looking at his photo on the nightstand, I felt something shift inside me. The hurt was still there, sharp as broken glass, but underneath it, something harder was forming. They wanted to move me out and sell my life's work. They thought I was too old, too trusting, too grateful for their attention to fight back. But Robert's voice echoed in my mind. Don't give her so much that she forgets to be grateful. Well, Robert, she's about to remember. I walked to my home office and pulled out a business card I'd kept for 3 years. Todd Fisher, real estate attorney. Robert had insisted we meet him after his diagnosis, just to make sure our affairs are in order. It was time for another consultation. The next morning, I walked through my house like a stranger, but instead of seeing home, I saw what Caitlin and Jeremy saw: square footage, market value, liquid assets. In the kitchen, I ran my hand along the granite countertop I'd installed myself, working by lamplight after my day job because we couldn't afford contractors. Robert had picked the patterned speckled gray with veins of gold that caught the morning light. This was where 3-year-old Caitlin took her first wobbly steps into Robert's arms. In the house we built for her, he'd whispered, tears in his eyes. The living room held 25 years of Christmases. I'd spent 3 months building her a dollhouse in the garage, Ellen sewing tiny curtains, me crafting a perfect replica down to the bay window Robert had dreamed of. I climbed the stairs to Caitlin's old room, still painted the soft yellow she'd chosen at 16, the desk I'd built under the window, where we'd helped her with algebra homework, and the master bedroom the hardest. Robert's side of the bed still had his water glass, his bookmark on page 247 of the novel he never finished. This was the room where we'd planned our future, and where he died, holding my hand. Promise me you'll take care of yourself. I had failed him, but I wouldn't fail myself again. I picked up Todd Fisher's card. Caitlin and Jeremy thought they were dealing with a confused old woman who'd be grateful for any scrap of attention. They were about to learn. Their mother wasn't helpless. She was strategic, and she remembered everything. I dialed Todd's number. My hands were steady as stone. Outside, the spring morning was bright and clear, the kind of day Robert used to love. The kind of day for new beginnings. The morning after I signed the sale papers, I sat in a small, quiet apartment in the Highlands neighborhood of Denver. Sunlight filtered through unfamiliar blinds, and the silence felt lighter, freer. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for a phone call that would drain my bank account or my spirit. I wasn't rehearsing excuses for why I hadn't let go of the house yet. I wasn't wondering if my love was being mistaken for weakness. I was just me. But I knew the real test was coming. Caitlin and Jeremy were due back from Phoenix in 3 days. They'd return expecting to find their grateful, manageable mother ready to be moved into the resort-style care facility they'd already picked out. Instead, they'd find an empty house, and a truth they couldn't ignore. I spent the next 2 days with quiet purpose. First, I met with Mrs. Chen, the manager at Sunset Manor Apartments, and signed a month-to-month lease. The unit was modest, a 1-bedroom with a kitchenette, a small balcony, and a view of the community garden. It wasn't the home Robert and I built, but it was mine. And that was enough. Then, I visited Colorado Community Bank, where David Morrison helped me open a new account. The $890,000 from the house sale transferred cleanly, securely. No fanfare, no drama. Just a number on a screen, proof that my life's work still belonged to me. But the most important step came on Thursday. I ordered a small, discreet Wi-Fi-enabled camera disguised as a phone charger, not for spying, but for clarity, for proof. I drove to my former house one last time. The garage door still opened with my remote. Jeremy and Caitlin never bothered to change it. Inside, the air still carried the faint scent of Robert's cologne and the lavender sachets I kept in the linen closet. I placed the camera near the front door outlet, angled to capture anyone entering. Then I taped a sealed envelope to the inside of the door, my note, written in the careful script Robert always admired. Dear Caitlin and Jeremy, if you're reading this, it means my plan worked perfectly. I heard your phone call. I heard you say I was a burden. I heard you calculate how much money you'd make selling my home, the home Robert and I built with our own hands. The house has been sold for $890,000. The money is safely in my new account, where it will stay. I've moved to a place where I'm appreciated, not tolerated. Don't worry about me. Worry about your own housing situation. Your belongings have been packed and stored at Denver Moving and Storage on Colfax Avenue. You have 30 days to claim them before fees apply. I gave you everything I had for 42 years. You repaid me by planning to warehouse me so you could steal my life's work. I hope the lesson was worth the cost. Love, Mom. I stood in the living room one last time, my hand resting on the mantel where Robert's photo once sat. It's done, my love, I whispered. Justice served. Then I locked the door with my new key and walked away. Friday afternoon, I sat in my apartment with a cup of tea, my phone open to the live camera feed. At 5:12 p.m., Jeremy's black SUV pulled into the driveway. Caitlin stepped out first, stretching after the long drive. Jeremy followed, hauling their suitcases. They moved with the easy confidence of people coming home to claim what they believed was theirs. Caitlin tried her key. It didn't turn. She frowned. Tried again. Nothing. Jeremy, something's wrong, she called. He tried the back door, the garage remote. Nothing worked. Then they saw the envelope. I watched through the screen as Caitlin tore it open, her eyes scanning the words. Jeremy read over her shoulder. Their faces changed: confusion, then shock, then panic. She sold the house. Caitlin's voice cracked. How could she do this to us? 890,000. Jeremy snatched the note. She kept it all. That money was supposed to be our future. Your future? Jeremy snapped, his mask finally slipping. This is your mother, Caitlin. You should have handled this better. You're the one who called her a burden. She shot back. They stood in the entryway of a home that was no longer theirs, arguing about being homeless, just as they'd planned to make me homeless. I turned off the feed. I didn't need to see more. 3 months later, I sit in a sunlit cafe called Brews and Views, 3 blocks from my apartment. Sarah, the barista with purple streaked hair, brings my usual black coffee, 1 sugar. You're in a good mood today, she says with a smile. I am, I reply, and I mean it. On my phone, I get a notification: Denver Moving and Storage final notice. Items unclaimed after 30 days will be auctioned. I don't respond. I don't need to. Caitlin texted me once, 2 weeks after the house sale. Mom, please. We made a mistake. Can we talk? I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. Love shouldn't come with strings. But trust? Trust must be earned. I used to believe a legacy was a house, a bank account, a name passed down through blood. Now I know better. A true legacy is integrity. It's self-respect. It's knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone convince you otherwise. Robert would be proud. I've started volunteering at a local community center, teaching young women how to manage finances, read contracts, and protect their futures. One of them asked me last week, "How did you get so strong, Evelyn?" I smiled. I stopped apologizing for taking up space. If you've ever been made to feel like a burden by your children, your family, or even yourself, know this: your life has value. Your choices matter. And your future is yours to protect. I didn't sell the house out of anger. I sold it to reclaim my peace. And in doing so, I gave my daughter the one gift I couldn't buy: the chance to build a life on her own terms, not mine. Whether she takes it is her story now, but mine is just beginning. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.